What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Dre here from Tiff and Dre TV, and I hope you guys have had a wonderful Christmas. In today's episode of Tiff and Dre TV, we're going to make bone broth. That's right. So, dinner's over with. If you saw our tomahawk video, we had some nice, big old ribeye tomahawk bones remaining. And I also went ahead and purchased some beef oxtails. They're kind of expensive. I don't know why, but they're expensive these days. This was $10 for these beef oxtails. So we got us some bones, and we're gonna make something amazing and healthy and super easy. Don't throw your scraps away. Keep them. We're gonna turn that into a wonderful bone broth. I don't know if you ever went to the store and see how much bone broth costs these days. It's expensive also. So we're gonna make homemade bone broth, and we're gonna start off with some leftover bones. They could be roasted or whatever, and then additional bones. Now, what is bone broth? Well, we're gonna slow cook this in our crock pot on warm. My crock pot gets to about 165, 175 on warm. And we're gonna extract the collagen out of these bones by using apple cider vinegar. Just a little bit, like 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. All right, so let's go over all the things you're gonna need today for this bone broth. You need the Holy Trinity. We're gonna do 1 onion, 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery. We're gonna put in a tablespoon of black peppercorns. We're gonna put in a little bit of thyme. I'm probably gonna put about a teaspoon of thyme in. I'm probably gonna put a teaspoon of granulated garlic and a teaspoon of granulated onion. And we're gonna put 2, maybe 3 bay leaves, depending on the size of the bay leaves in here. The secret is, in the bone broth, is the apple cider vinegar. Now I'm using an organic apple cider vinegar, okay? Make sure you shake it pretty good before you use it. We're gonna put 2 tablespoons. That's all you really need. If you put anything more than that, you're gonna begin to taste the vinegar in your bone broth. And some people don't like that sour taste in their broth. If you like that sour taste in your broth, go right ahead, add a little bit more. I mean, this is a learning process. After you make your first batch of bone broth, you're gonna learn something from it. You're gonna get excited. You're gonna make your next batch of bone broth. You're gonna probably add more pepper or less pepper. You get the idea. But one thing we're not gonna add while we're making our bone broth, we are not gonna add salt. Keep that to the end. After your bone broth is made and you strain it and you put it in your container or you leave it in your crock pot, stir it up, taste it. If you need some salt, go right ahead and add some salt. All right, let's get started. So, in the crock pot, we're gonna start adding things. First, we're gonna add our bones. Now, these are those tomahawk ribeye bones that we had in my other video. We're not gonna throw them away. We're gonna put those in the bottom of the crock pot. And these guys may not want to fit in there. We're gonna throw in our oxtails. Now, normally I would eat the meat from the oxtails, but in this case here, we're gonna slow cook this, and the meat is not gonna be as flavorful after we make this bone broth. Guys, we're talking about a 14 to 18 hour slow cook in the crock pot. Don't speed this thing up. 14 to 18. You go 24 hours, you're gonna have a good bone broth. Some people go 2 or 3 days. I like the crock pot because I can control the heat, or I have a situation here that's not dangerous. For example, if we were to do this on the stove for 12, 14 hours, my gas stove would be running for a long time. I don't like that idea. So crock pot it is. We're gonna do that. All right, so bones is in the crock pot. 1 yellow onion. We're gonna cut that up. Leave the skin on. Drop that in. All right, we got 2 large carrots. I'm gonna keep it rustic. Don't need to skin them. Drop that in the pot. Okay. We've been making bone broth for a while now. I like to do the chicken feet. Chicken feet makes really good bone broth. There's a lot of collagen there. Okay, so any kind of bones you get your hands on, go to the grocery store, and see about getting some bones for your bone broth. Make sure you rinse and scrub your vegetables ahead of time. And we're gonna throw that in there too, okay? So I like to kind of open this up a little bit, kind of get all of that pulled out of there, all the goodness coming out of the celery. I'm gonna give it a slice there. Open up that celery. All right, so we got the Holy Trinity in there. We got our onions, we got our celery, we got our carrots. Now, let's get our seasonings in here, all right? So, let's start off with our peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of peppercorns. I'm not gonna put as much thyme in there. Let's put a teaspoon of thyme in there, all right? I'm gonna amp this up a bit. I mentioned a teaspoon of granulated garlic. I'm gonna put a tablespoon of granulated garlic, not garlic powder, granulated garlic. Garlic powder will make the water really cloudy, all right? Granulated garlic seems to work a lot nicer when it comes to making broths. Same thing with the onion. I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of granulated onion, okay? And then, like I said, 2 or 3 bay leaves. Mine is small, so let's put about 3 bay leaves in there. All right. Now, last, what we want to do is add our apple cider vinegar. Remember, don't use a lot. I think for this size, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar is all you really need. If you put any more in there, you're going to begin to taste it. Okay, let's go over here. Put water in here. Cold water. We're going to fill this, well, we're going to put enough water in here to cover everything. That looks good. That's about 75%, 3/4 of the way on water on the crock pot. All right, now we're gonna set our crock pot on high, and we're gonna set a timer for 1 hour. Okay? Why are we doing that? Well, I like it. Bringing the crock pot up to a high temperature, it's going to get us somewhere between 165 and 200. We do not want to go past 210, all right? So you're going to have to get to know your crock pot. The warm setting on my crock pot pulls me around 165, 175, and that is the sweet zone for making bone broth because you're pulling that collagen out with the vinegar, and it's a slow cook. So we have our bone broth in the crock pot. We have it on high for 1 hour. We're gonna let this cook for about 14 to 18 hours. I may actually let it go to about 18 hours. All right, so the next time you see me, we're gonna show you what the finished product looks like. We're gonna strain everything out and we're gonna taste it. And if I need to add some salt, we're gonna possibly add some salt to it. All right, so guys, the next time you see me, we're gonna be trying some beef bone broth. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's been 24 hours since we started our beef bone broth in the crock pot. Remember, the first hour we put it on high, and then we adjust the temperature down to warm, and we left it like that all night long, so it's about 24 hours. A good bone broth is 12 to 18 hours, and 24 hours is just fine also. Some people let it go for a couple days, 2 or 3 days. Perfectly fine. You're gonna get some good bone broth. All right, before we get started, we're gonna need a large bowl to collect everything out of the crock pot in here. Probably some tongs to help us out. I like using these large, heavy-duty mason jars. These are half-gallon mason jars, 64 ounces. So we have 2 of them, and we might be able to get a gallon worth of liquid out of that. A funnel is extremely helpful so you don't make a big mess. I use a bowl to catch any of the extras down here. And we have a strainer. As we're pouring the liquid in here, it's going to still catch some particles. I like the strainer. Some people actually use a cheesecloth or some other type of fine mesh bag or cloth to catch any of the extra floating particles in there. Of course, a ladle to kind of ladle it out. And I like these plastic food storage wide mouth lids for the mason jars. Very nice to help you store your food. All right, so those are all the things you're gonna need, and of course some paper towels because things can get messy. All right, let's take a look inside here. Man, wow, look at that. Look at that. Woo! That beef smell is so rich, so good. Look at those oxtails. Now, there's a lot of collagen in oxtails. You know, because we cooked this for so long. Let me try it. Let me just taste a little bit of this. All the flavor from that oxtail is gone. All that beef flavor is gone. So we're not going to keep that. Now, I've also discovered that some people would actually run these bones and vegetables through a second bone broth preparation to increase their yield. I've tried that once before, and honestly, I did not like it. I did not like the results. All right, so let's take these bones out. Okay, we got as much as we can get out of there. And let's take a look at this bone broth right now. Now you see a lot of oil is on the top. Now another option is to let this sit and cool. Turn off your crock pot, let this sit and cool in the crock pot, and then scrape off the fat. You know what? You can use that fat. You can actually cook with that fat. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't throw it away. It's just like saving that bacon grease and cooking cornbread or something else using that bacon grease. But we're not going to throw this fat away. We're going to keep it. All right, so let's ladle this bone broth in and filter it through here. We're not going to fill this up completely to the top. We're just going to put it in there. You can tell the oil is starting to separate. Let me put this here, see if I can find it. So we let this sit. The oil is going to separate in this jar. That's perfectly fine. And we filtered out. I mean, we use a strainer. And look at all those fine particles and the peppercorns. We got that out too. So this is pretty good. If you want a clearer broth, you can run this through, like I said, a cheesecloth or some other type of mesh cloth, and that'll be perfectly fine. So we're going to let this cool. We're not going to put anything hot in the refrigerator. Now, taste. Let's get a spoon. Let's taste this bone broth. Now remember, I didn't add any salt, extra salt to this. So I'm going to go down in here and see what I can get. This is pretty hot. If you haven't had homemade bone broth before, you are in for a treat. This is delicious, rich, savory. Now, you're going to immediately notice and you're going to say, this needs some salt. It's amazing how much salt is in soups and broths. But trust me, you can add the salt to this. Add about a tablespoon at a time. Stir it in and taste your food. Or do what I'm doing. I'm going to keep it just like this. I am not going to add any salt to this because when I pour myself a cup of bone broth in the morning, I can add some salt to it. So it's easy to add salt, more difficult to take salt out. All right? So you find out what works best for you, but I'm going to tell you, look at that. Look at the color. That's some good bone broth, right? You try pricing that in the store. That's expensive. And I don't know exactly how much this cost me. Well, we know how much those neck bones cost. Those neck bones were $10. I feel confident that this will get me 2 jars, a gallon of bone broth, and this total cost is probably about under $20. And I think that's a good deal for some bone broth. All right, that's it. That wraps up bone broth. And look, if I can do it, you can do it. So try to make some bone broth. Let's get the discussion going below. Let us know how your bone broth turned out. All right. And if you did something different, let's talk about it. All right. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and mash that subscribe button with the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any future content. All right. So I think it's a wrap on the bone broth. Until next time, thank you so much for supporting our channel, and thank you for watching our videos. Take care. Peace!